All right, welcome everybody. This is Couch 23, joined by Zoe. We have a great race for you here with Cassidy and Gundam. Zoe, you want to go over these flags?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are in the middle of the highway to the Threemus zone. So we are playing with our group stage flags. Our runners are going to have 4 objectives, as you can see on the screen. They're required to beat at least 3 of them to obtain the crystal, which is needed to beat Threemus. Throughout there, they're going to have a few differences if you watch the Football Gauntlet. All of the free character slots are open and available to our racers. We are playing with relaxed characters on, which means that Edge can be in any of those spots. Notably, there will be no Fu, because Fu has been yeeted from this tournament and will not be appearing whatsoever. He is deemed too OP at this point. There will be some empty chests because we're playing with T-Spar 60 on, so 6 out of every 10 chests will be filled, the other 4 will be empty. And we're playing with T-Wildish, so that loot will be generally better than you would see if you were playing with something like T-Standard.
And it looks like we have some fantastic objectives today. We have obviously the Legend and Adamant combined. That's always going to be an objective in these flags. We have Vanilla Mersam Altar, which I believe is the Paled M spot.
That is correct. Yep.
The unlock the sewer. So if we get the Baron key, that's just unlock the sewer. Bam, objective done. We don't have to do Baron Castle. And then we have Magma key. Toss it down the well. Bam, we're done. So a lot of this could be done really quick, surprisingly, if we get the right stuff in the right spot.
Yeah, absolutely. This could be a pretty jetty seed, depending on what we can find on the overworld. We're already starting with an Edge, so that Sea Relaxed already paying off. That's going to make a lot of your overworld checks, fairly trivial. And also allows you to steal sirens if you roll bad and there's no sirens available in the underground shops, or just want to save 4,000 a pop. Edges, in my practice seeds, Edge has been carrying a pretty heavy load as far as getting me through seeds.
Edge has been fantastic in my practice stuff. Even if you get him like super late, he's been really good. Speaking of Edge, we have an Edge start here. Pretty excited to see this, to be honest. There's not a lot that we can't do without Edge. He's very versatile. He can get us grinding spots. He can get us, any basically item that we want to.
Yeah, it looks like we are underway. So we'll see who our second character is, as well as who's going to give us what item here.
Yeah, absolutely. The opening item is always fantastic to see, especially if you start with Tella. Tella is absolutely overpowered in these seeds. If getting Tella, especially not having food, getting Tella gives us the option for an early week. We finish Mount Ordeals really quick. We get the Darkness Crystal. Bam! That's a grind spot right there, right away. Done. Tella Edge start is probably the best combo that you can start with. I'm really expecting the seed to go pretty quick.
Yeah, I agree. This start is pretty fantastic. You have all the combat prowess you need from Edge. You've got all the utility you need from Tella. That early week, which you can take ordeals down pretty much with this Edge. You also get Exit to allow you for some quicker looting and routing. And then also you can get Warp, which is notable because we are playing with the Warp glitch on. So after clearing Dwarf Castle, they can warp back into the crystal room of the sealed cave and get that key item without clearing the boss or getting the Luca key. And Mysidia paying off with the free characters, giving us a second Edge and a Quake Kit.
Yeah, exactly. Quake Kit not so valuable in these flags because you got to grind to get Quake, and Warp takes a long time to get on Palom. But the good news is we got another Edge.
Yeah, 2 Edges. There's not much that can appear here on the overworld that will put a stop to our racers. So, and even a hook route, if we end up being unlucky enough to get that, is not going to be a super big issue.
I see some Cure 3s in the item shop on Cassidy's side. Cure 3s are a fantastic item to find early. If you have the money to afford them, I highly recommend buying them. They can do some serious damage against D-Lunars or Mylon Z or elements, especially early on. You can really take out some of the early bosses. Cassidy going up Mount Ordeal is really early. Checking the free character spot, possibly the bosses, and we find a Cecil. What's your take on Cecil on these, Zoe?
Yeah, so Cecil's a bit of an interesting character because we do have the vanilla agility flag on. So if you have a Cecil in your party, he is going to be your anchor. And if you have multiple, there's some witchcraft regarding the slots. But if I can find a crystal sword, I'm happy with Cecil. If I can find an Excal and a second Cecil, I'm happy. Otherwise, he can stay on the bench.
I'm to be honest, I'm with you on that one. We see Valvalis in the Mylon spot. It's not going to be too hard in this spot. Mylon doesn't have the greatest magic defense or the regular defense in this spot, especially with Val going in tornado form. We should just see physical attacks punching through here. They're going to do relatively low damage, but with Tella, we got Cure 2. We should be able to punch through all this stuff, especially if we get weaks on Cecil like that.
Yeah, there'll be a bit of a long fight, but not a hard one by any stretch of the imagination. Gundam is going to go check another free character here in Dampian and launch his hovercraft, and a second Quake Kid. So it seems like it's the seed of duplicates here.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's absolutely nothing wrong with getting Palom. Palom is great. Palom, learns Virus and Quake relatively early compared to Rydia. The unfortunate thing is Rydia learns Warp really early versus Palom. Palom was Warp at like 34 or so, roughly. Especially having the quote-unquote warp glitch on for these flags. It kind of really opens up Rydia for the taking here versus Palom.
Yeah, it's like 30-something for warp. Fortunately, the way I remember it is I need 3 sirens to break some eggs, and I get it. And we have edges to steal them if, for some reason, they decide to ditch their Tella. But yeah, Gundam's doing some looting here. Probably gonna check Antlion next, I imagine.
That would be my guess. But we see a character spot here. Antlion is obviously the go-to spot if you skip Antlion. I mean, who would even skip Antlion ever?
I don't know. It's not something that I think I would do, but some people. Oh wow, another edge.
Okay, so finding 3 edges this early, this kind of just opens up the whole seed. Edge is level 25, immediately joining your party. He's equipped with endgame defensive gear. He's got a bandana, a black belt. Both apply to strength. Both are very physically defensive. The big thing is with... and we see a power robe as well under that water ball. So the power robe adds, or power shirt, whatever you want to call it, adds 15 to your strength. That adds easily 2 to 3 multipliers to your physical attack, and that is very big. We see Cassidy actually taking a save here, and I don't know, was that a wipe to Val? No, that wasn't. That was a push through Val. Very good.
Yep, and we had free boss here, King Queen Evelyn. So this will be relatively trivial. Gundam is looting the majority here of the Watery Pass because we are on T Wildish. It takes the T Pro settings about waiting and then just ramps them up. So you have a chance of getting tier 6, tier 7 loot out of here. And with Tella being able to exit you out, might as well just loot the whole thing and see what you can pull.
Exactly. I know. I absolutely agree. Having Tella is fantastic. Picking up that Stardust Rod and that Full Moon, both fantastic. You can put the Stardust Rod, Palom. You can put the Full Moon on both edge. Get them back row glitched. Throw them in the back row. Keep everybody in the front row, or however you want to do it. It's just both those items are fantastic to find.
Yeah, that you got 3 edges that it can now be back rowed. You're not going to be fearing any sort of physical damage on them whatsoever. That Stardust Rod, plus 15 to Wisdom, and also allows you to use it in battle to effectively have infinite Stardust J item. Will allow you to take out stuff like Calbrina, help you with the gauntlet if you happen to be unlucky enough to run across that. Some pretty big finds there at the tail end of that watery pass.
Yeah, much agreed. And we see Cassidy here getting into the crystal chamber. Let's see this key item that pops up here. A darkness crystal. That is fantastic. Having Tella, getting the darkness crystal right away, that opens up a grind fight. If you get that third edge, you are set for the rest of the game if you go and grind to get everything knocked out of the way. That is a huge find right there. Doing man ordeals early has really paid off for Cassidy.
Yeah, that's incredible. Notably, Gundam did not appear to use the full moon to back row glitch. His edges, he still has them in the front row. Not really going to be that big of a deal. Hopefully he does so later for some of the later fights if he wants to keep them safe from harm and also like hit CPU or something that's in the back row for full damage.
Yeah, definitely. Just having that full moon in your inventory is good to know. Like, hey, if I need to put an edge in the back row, they're good. I don't need to worry about the reduced damage. I don't need to worry about any of that stuff. I'm in the clear.
Cassidy's going to descend ordeals. It'll be interesting to see what he does. And Gundam finding a Mylon variant. Mylon and friends here in the Antlion Cave. Flame is going to make quick work of presumably the whole pack, and if not, then the physical attack from the second edge will take care of Mylon himself.
Yeah, finding Mylon at Antlion is always, at least to me, is fantastic. I know that, hey, I'm not going to run into, Mylon Ogopogo, where the physical attacks are really going to hurt, or Mylon at, say, Bahamut, where the physical attacks are really hurt. It's just good to know Mylon's out of the way. I don't have to worry about this huge pain in the butt that could be further down the line.
No key item from it, but a glass bucket you can toss on one of your mages to keep them safe from harm until you decide to sell it for a hefty amount.
Yeah, I mean, even if you want to keep it on one of the edges in the front row, that's fantastic. Like, the glass helm is always a good find. Even if it's late game, like, glass helm is very superior to any physical damage that you're going to receive. It's got like 52 defense versus, and it bumps your evade up by quite a bit, versus where, like, you put a headband on or whatever. It's pretty good.
First peek at Baron Inn, we have a Vanilla Yang and a cutscene boss here in Dr. Luge.
Dr. Luge in this spot is actually really good as well. 400 HP split across, I believe Dr. Luge is 5 enemies, so 400 HP split across 5 enemies is nice and easy to blow through. The big opponent is going to be whoever is at the Yang spot. The speed is relatively slow, but that physical attack, if it's a very physical boss, you best believe we're going to be seeing some issues here.
And it looks like we have either Elements or Ruby, and we have Leg. It was Leg all along.
So the good thing about this spot, Ruby only having 4,000 HP at the spot, with Edge putting roughly 800 per swing, that's going to be, say, 5 swings. We're going to be through here. Every physical attack is going to get countered with a fire too. And then afterwards, we're going to get, physical attacks, and then a glare, which is physical based, but it's also fire damage as well.
Yeah, that glare can hit pretty hard, but I don't think we're actually going to get to see it here. These fire 2s, this spot has no magic attack. They're barely making a dent in these edges HP.
Yeah, definitely. The magic in the spot is very low. Any person that casts some magic in the spot is good to see. On Gundam's side, we see the awesome text ending. It's a little slow, but it's always fantastic to see. I always love the random text. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I've been playing FE since the start of the Football Gauntlet, and I have still yet to actually get the text ending on Rubicant. And we get a tower key for our troubles. So no keyless tower plays in this seed.
So we get a Yang. Gundam, I understand ditching Yang. You got 3 edges already. I honestly think we'll probably see a Cecil and Yang swap on this end on Gassidy's. I might be wrong.
Yeah, I feel the same.
The good thing about having Cecil on your end is, Cecil is your agility anchor. Like, hey, I know Cecil's my anchor. I can have an edge in the middle. I'll be fine. Whereas Gundam doesn't have a Cecil. And he's like, okay, well, I have edge in the middle. Edge is my anchor. Okay, I got to kind of work around that. It just depends on... I don't know. Vanilla agility is really weird.
Yeah, it's probably the biggest wrench in this flag set, in my opinion. Brings Cecil in line with some of the other party members, but can completely throw you for a loop if you either forget about it or just not familiar with it. Gundam is taking us to the last location that we, as the commentators, do not know what it holds, and that being Fabul. So our progression or underground access has to be here.
I really like those long swords on Gundam's side. Those long swords are fantastic for edge, especially you can buy 6 right away there. That's end game damage right there for edge. All 3 of them, no problem. The big thing I'm worried about is just having a healer right now. I have not seen a single healer. It's pretty scary, to be honest.
Our healer is clearly those Cure 3 potions.
Yeah, definitely. So we got Cassidy checking some spots that Gundam did as well. We see the waterfall check here. We got the 2 chests with the black belt and the power robe. The power robe is always a fantastic find, especially if you got a physical attacker like Yang. Throwing the power robe and dual cat claws on Yang, forget about it. Anything really endgame is going to be huge.
Yeah. Notably, Cassidy decided not to take the 3rd edge, keeping the Yang. I pretty much support this decision. Not having to outfit 3 edges with good ninja swords, whereas you can just grind up your Yang and just have him gain power based off of his levels is going to be good in pretty much any seed.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. Just the big thing about Yang is the more levels he gets, and like the better claws you have on him, the more strength and agility he gets. His power level just goes so beyond anything that you can ever find late game, especially if you get him around level 50 or so. He just becomes so overpowered. It's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, and a huge HP sponge if you end up needing someone to toss out some Cure 3s. Gundam is trying to chew through this Mom Bomb HP. Mom Bomb has, additional 9,000 HP, regardless of the spot that she's in. Can make for quite a grind fight, but once she splits, we can see that Stardust Rod used to good effect here.
Yeah, definitely. Mom Bomb can be really scary in some spots, to be honest. Anything high physical damage, say Bahamut spot or Pale Dim spot, Mom Bomb can be really scary. But in a spot like this, where Mom Bomb splits up and the HP is just split across the board, a Stardust Rod easily wipes them out and makes for quick work.
Cassidy heading down Antlion, gonna get that glass bucket from Mylon and Friends, and Gundam getting the hook that was left here by the Dark Knight. So we do have a hook seed, chat. Let's get some hype out, because I know I love watching a hook seed as much as I hate playing them.
To be honest, I really love hook seeds. I always love seeing who the boss is. I love seeing how the player gets through the boss. If you get a Kainazo or an Ogopogo at the Ruby spot, it can be really tough. And I love seeing their reaction to what goes on and how they strategize the fight. Now, if it's a free boss or something, they can toss an hourglass on or whatever. Whatever. Just show me an Ogopogo or a Kainazo at that spot, and I'll always be happy to watch.
Yeah, if we find something that can be hourglassed, I'm pretty sure Gundam found an hourglass in the Damsian basement. I do not know if Cassidy has been to Damsian yet. I admittedly have been paying attention to Gundam screen a bit more. So that could be potential advantage in Gundam's favor, but depends on how those bosses roll. If we get Dark Imp or, you know, that Ogopogo that you hate to see at the Ruby spot.
Much agreed. We do see Gundam turning in the pink tail here. The pink tail is always going to be a tier 4 item. We see a crystal sword. That is pretty huge. We know where Cecil's are at. A crystal sword Cecil, no matter what, is pretty overpowered.
Yep. Gundam has not run into either of the 2 Cecils that we've seen, so gonna be pretty happy when he does run across one of those. Looks like he is going to loot Castle. Nope, he's gonna go straight into the hook route. Oh, never mind. Faked me out by grabbing the hovercraft.
That's totally fair. To be fair, Cassidy's already gotten rid of 2 Cecils. This could be game changing, to be honest. If Gundam goes and gets a Cecil, that crystal sword is definitely a game changer. Even if Cecil is your agility anchor, having a crystal sword is very huge.
Yeah, crystal sword erases a lot of sins. You can very easily solo Z if you have a white mage or enough tier 3s. So Cassidy now looting Damsian, getting the hourglass. So there goes that potential play. But what's important here is, when is Gundam gonna go turn Cecils into paladins, get that darkness crystal for more deals, and get his Tela online?
Yeah, and that's a good point chat brings up. Cassidy reset out of Hobbs. So if Cassidy goes and checks that pink tail, that's huge. We could have a crystal sword Cecil online here, and that'd be pretty big. Yeah,
absolutely. I think setting out of that Cecil on Hobbs is objectively the right play. Worst case scenario, you can save him to give yourself an anchor for your Z fight. Best case scenario, if you find a crystal sword, you know where one's at.
And to be fair, even if you don't have a crystal sword, or even if you don't have a Cecil and you find a crystal sword is still fantastic to see, because that thing's worth a lot of money. That can equip your edges, that can equip, you know, a whole bunch of different people that you've got if you find the right item shop.
Yep. And we see our Golbez in the Waterfall Cave, so there will be no Trollbez blocking any of our objectives today. Our runners are sure happy to see that.
It's like Cassidy is checking the minuscule items that we have available in.
Was that another crystal sword?
No, that was a Stardust Rod.
No, on Gundam's side from.
Oh, I didn't happen to see that. I saw the Stardust Rod in the pot on Cassidy's side.
We could have legit Quint strats here with 3 edges and 2 crystal sword Cecils.
When in doubt, Quint it out. That's my motto.
Where's PK at? Because we found second Cecil.
PK's not here because we didn't skip Antlion. All right.
Oh, right. Love you, PK.
To be fair, I don't think PK has actually ever skipped Antlion intentionally. I mean, actually, unintentionally. I know of 2 runners who have unintentionally skipped Antlion.
Well, you know of 3 now, because I've definitely done it.
Okay.
You know,
okay, 3 now.
In a community race. So
that's fair. But yeah,
life potion.
Yeah, 2 Stardust Rods, 2 Crystal Swords. Both of those items are actually really huge. Stardust Rod giving the advantage of plus 15 to Wisdom, and then just having the ability to use it as an item in battle to use the Stardust item. That can be super beneficial if you run across dolls, or if you run across, say, D-Lunars or something, where physical attacks will kind of stop it.
Yeah, chat pointing out only issues if there's no sirens available, but we have Edge, so there are sirens available.
Exactly. We have 3 edges, to be honest. We see Gundam continuing to loot Eblon, looking for those trap chests, probably trying to get a little bit of experience before checking. We see Cassidy getting a lunar whale going. I'm curious to see if we're going to see maybe a grind here, because we have a Tella, we have 2 edges, we have a Cecil, a level 1 Cecil paladin with a crystal sword. Could be huge if we boost them with experience.
Yeah. You can get a slingshot on that, which will give double the experience all the other characters get. Can easily put you in kill Z range, 20 something minutes in. Also could be checking the character. There's a lot to be done waking up that big whale.
Yeah, the big thing I'm finding with these flags are you find Tella and you find Darkness Crystal early, go to Ordeals, go grind, make the rest of the seed a cakewalk, bam, you'll be done in like an hour. I don't know, these flags really call out to Tella here. Yeah,
looks like Cassidy is gearing up to blitz through the rest of the seed, grabbing a bunch of Cure 3 potions. Looks like he's going to go check the Moon character, and then I fully expect to see a D-Machine grind.
Much agreed. We see another glass helm on Gundam's side. 2 glass helms is really huge, even just in a regular chest. Gundam probably going to go hook route here, finish checking Eblon, but then more than likely afterwards, since they don't have the Darkness Crystal, going to just go knock out that hook route and go from there. Moonveil as well on Gundam's side. Moonveils are always huge to see. It makes you basically...
third Cecil.
Yeah, that tells me right there, hey, go grind, get a Cecil up, knock it out of the way.
Yep, Cassidy heading over to Baron. Going to be setting up the new Manip. Another one of the flags that's on in the Threemus zone is E can't run, meaning you cannot run from random encounters. Completely, well, not completely, but practically destroys the old D-Machine Manip. But what happens when you ban something in a tournament? Your players will find another way, and the community has found another D-Machine Manip by manipulating encounters outside of Baron and then going in to the Giants, so that your first encounter you get will be a guaranteed D-Machine.
So to go into this just a hair bit more, the way this works is, in vanilla, there is a quote-unquote encounter seed that you'll get into as soon as you hit A on the title screen. So what that does is it sets a certain encounter seed to where you're going to get an encounter on this step, and then you'll get an encounter on the next 20 steps. What we're doing here is we're manipulating the encounters. So as soon as we get into a certain part of the giant, we get into what's called the grind fight, where a siren calls a D-Machine. D-Machines are the most experience that we can get pretty much anywhere, to be honest, with exception of sirens on the moon. Just having these encounters set up, Cassidy already getting everything set up, ready to go to the giant, and we'll see the manipulation here progress soon. So we're getting the encounters knocked out of the way to where, hey, if we got into the very first encounter on the giant, we would be like, okay, well, this isn't the grind fight. I can't fight this encounter here. So we're getting those knocked out of the way, so we can be like, okay, well, I found the siren with the 2, I don't even remember what the heck they're called. The beamers.
It's a beamer and what is it? It's not.
I think it's dual beamers and a
dual beamers
and a searcher.
Whatever, searcher. That's what it is.
Yeah.
So that's what we'll be looking for.
Yeah, so we'll see in Cassidy's side here soon that speaking of on Gundam's side, we see a crystal ring in the pass here. That's fantastic. Crystal ring adds 5 to agility and fantastic defense. But a searcher and 2 beamers is the fight we're going to look for. In the next 2 floors of the giant, right here on the floor that Cassidy's on, and the next floor that Cassidy's probably going to go to get the actual grind fight itself, will be a searcher and 2 beamers. And there are 2 fights that you can get into. You can get one with a D, or 3 fights actually. There's one with a D machine. There's one with a Cassidy actually not getting it. I'm not actually sure what the step was there.
Yeah, must have messed up the manip outside of Baron. Gundam seeing a blue robe in the ruby spot could be a free fight, could be a gauntlet.
All right, so on step 3 there, Cassidy's going to want to reset because Cassidy's not actually going to find the grind fight. Looking at the manip chart. Unfortunately, Cassidy is continuing to take these fights here. They're going to want to reset. So what happens is there's 3 different actual grind fights that you can get into in the giant. One has a Mac Giant, one has a Horseman, and one has a D Machine. D Machine is the optimum one that we want to get into. Just because the D Machine has is susceptible to weak. We can kill them really quick after weaked, and we can life potion them, which adds a double kill, basically. So basically, if you life glitch one of them, it adds another kill. If you can life glitch 2 on one, then it adds another one.
Yeah. And you can repeat that for as long as you have MP on your Tele to cast weak or life potions in your inventory, get a boatload of experience, which, as previously mentioned, would be double on that Cecil. Very easily getting him into the high 40s or even low 50s after a meager amount of B machines.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you can kill, say, 3 D machines with life glitches, and you can be at like 9 D machine kills already. It's pretty ridiculous how the grind fight actually works. Gundam getting through those mat over chests really quick, making their way to the underground. This could be the proper play. This could be extending. Hey, we're finding all the stuff that we need to find. We could find the Baron key and the Magma key underground, whereas Cassidy could get the grind fight done, knocked it out of the way, and be like, oh, we're not finding anything on the moon.
Cassidy, seeing this here, probably thinks that he has the D-Machine grind, but if it was step 3, it's probably going to be a Horseman or a Mac Giant, and we'll probably see a reset, unless they were going for Mac Giant, but I don't believe they have a Charm Claw or anything along those lines.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything equipment-wise that says, hey, Mac Giant. Unfortunately, unless I miscounted, I did see an encounter on the 3rd step. This more than likely is not going to be D-Machine. If you've run vanilla, you understand how step route works. Step route is really hard to explain, at least for me, over just like talking. I can explain if I'm playing and doing all the stuff. But just the way encounter seeds work in this game are really funky. There are 256, and on the title screen you have 1 frame to push. And you can hit a certain... I'm not explaining this very well, I apologize. So on the title screen, the RNG encounter seed cycles every frame. And it can make it really hard to land a certain encounter seed that you're looking for. So if we landed on 3 steps, we could be looking at a non-grind fight here, and using an hourglass on Cassidy's side has been unfortunate because it stops the searcher as well. So in this situation, I would wait on one character, wait for the search intruder alert or whatever thing to pop up, and then I would go from there.
Yeah, and Gundam finding Odin here at the King Queen Evelyn spot. I believe he has a Thunderclaw in his inventory, which you can use on Edge to get that quad damage. Doesn't need it though, gets the Lit 2 kill. And now we get to see what our blue robe is.
I hope this is the gauntlet.
I hope so too.
I love having gauntlet
with
at this spot.
Gauntlet is the commentator's dream.
This is the most fantastic blue robe I've ever seen, to be honest.
We'll probably be seeing a lot of flames from the edges and using of those Stardust rods.
Much agreed. Having a Stardust rod is fantastic. Having 3 edges with flame available is fantastic. Even if this is a water hag, it's fantastic. It just makes everything kind of easy. Fubu Gauntlet adds extra. As we see, it's going to be the Fubu Gauntlet. Having the Gauntlet here is fantastic because we get the experience for every single fight. And this is a lot of experience here.
Yeah, this will be quite a bit of experience to get everyone a bit closer to online for Underground. May even get Quake on that Palom. This is going to be pretty great. And one thing that I noticed is Gundam never did ordeals. So bold move, taking the hook route before checking to see if your magma key was maybe on ordeals, because not only is that faster underground access, it's also one of your objectives.
Yeah, agreed. And even just having Tella in your party kind of screams ordeal to me. Tella is pretty common in these flag sets, to be honest. Especially with the Fubu Gauntlet here, having the ability to cast Stone on the whole enemy party is really nice to have.
Oh, it does look like Cassidy did indeed get the D-Machine encounter, so gonna be in this grind for a hot second.
Shouldn't be too long, to be honest. I think Cassidy will maybe take 9 or 10 total quote-unquote kills for the D-Machine. 10 kills for the D-Machine is quite a lot, to be honest. That's roughly 400,000 experience. That'll push you through to the end of the game. The unfortunate thing is timing here. If you have Edge in the middle, right now Edge is Cassidy's agility anchor. Didn't get a life glitch there. We got one life glitch instead of 2. So that's only 2 D-Machines killed versus 3. That's a pretty big difference. That can kind of slow down your grind. We have telecasting Cure 3 here. It's going to lower his MP a bit. He's going to have to cast Psych this many more times. Grind fight this early is pretty rough, to be honest. I have absolutely failed mine in my last few practices. This is not an easy fight early on.
Yeah, with Edge in the middle, it can go off the rails pretty quickly. And something I've been saying over and over that I actually need to correct myself on, Cassidy did not take a Cecil. So there will be no Cecil at a high level here, which if Cassidy ever comes across, that Crystal Sword from the Pink Tail, may regret that decision, but overall, with this party, 2 Edges and a Yang, still shouldn't have any problems on Z. Just a matter of what could have been.
Yeah, much agreed. Another thing is, with Edge in the middle, Tella actually loses spell accuracy. Whoever is in the middle slot gains accuracy, an accuracy boost, whether it's physical or spell boost. If you put Tella in the middle in the grind fight, he'll more than likely never miss a weak spell. Whereas in the quote-unquote 4th slot, because it always goes 1 middle, 2 top, 3 bottom, and then goes from there. Having Tella in the 4th slot here kind of loses an accuracy boost from the middle slot. If Tella was in the middle here, he'd more than likely never miss weak, whereas we may see a weak miss here. Depending on the equipment that Tella has, every point that Tella has into his wisdom, or is it willpower? I think it's willpower. I don't remember.
I think it's wisdom, and I think if Cassidy has a Stardust rod on that Tella, it might make up for the lack of being in the middle. But if chat happens to know for sure if it's wisdom or willpower, feel free to correct me.
Yeah, exactly. But basically, every point that goes into boosting black magic increases your percentage to hit one of the spells, or white magic, depending on if it's life or one of, like, say, mini or whatever. It increases that chance to actually hit those spells. So if Tella was equipped with this vanilla stuff here, Tella could possibly miss the weak cast, and that could put a huge damper on this grind fight.
Yeah, Gundam is looting here in the Fey March. Seems content with what he's found. Is going to go get us a key item check from the Rat Tail chest, as well as a number of shop chests, and potentially peeking 2 bosses to see what's in store down here.
Oh wow! And we see a pan at the Fey Mark chest.
Oh, that's like the perfect spot for the pan. You always want to see that.
Much agreed. Pan is always fantastic to find early. That gives you open access to the Sylph item and the 2 shield items. So that's 3 key items just with 1 item right there. That is huge.
Yeah.
Cassidy having the grind fight this early, a little scary. We're seeing a very risky spot here. We're seeing, luckily, we got the damage off to kill it, and we got a life off. But that could have been very scary had Weak not actually hit.
Yeah, the pan gives those multiple key item checks, as well as minimizing trips through the Sylph Cave and back to Fabul, which, in my opinion, can be more important than the extra key items, because those trips are not particularly fast when you're trying to race.
I didn't happen to catch who were at the summon bosses down there.
I too missed them. Chat, help us out, or our lovely tracker, Ella Motas.
Yeah, that was a really quick check. I just happened to glance away at the moment they were checking.
I literally just blinked and it was gone.
Yeah, exactly. It's just the summon bosses are really good to take a peek on, just because if there's a free boss there, or if there's say, since we already know there's the Fubul Gauntlet already knocked out of the way. If we see a blue robe, we know, hey, that's Water Hag. We can get that knocked out of the way. Boom, boom, boom. 3 hits, we're done. We're out of the way.
Yeah, it's always nice to peek there, see if there's either one of the free bosses or something that your current party setup can cheese its way through, based off of your abilities. I know I've multiple times seen a Calbrana there, had a random Soma drop, gave it to my Tella, and then just queued up a Meteo and was done with it.
Oh, wow. Okay, so we see strength rings on Gundam's side. 3 of them purchased, all on edge. Fantastic. We see a full moon in a chest. That's back row glitched edges. That is fantastic if we run into a physical boss at one of these summon bosses spots. But apparently we see a dark elf and a water hag, according to local Trey. But yes, so we see a dark elf and a water hag. These are fantastic bosses to see here. Dark elf starting with magical attacks, transferring to physical attacks. But the big thing with dark elf is the second phase of dark elf isn't actually a boss. You can stop the second half.
You can also weak it, but
this is true as well.
Have weak. Water Hag gonna take 3 hits. It's very fast in this spot and very punchy, so hopefully we get it off. But it'll be interesting to see if he tries to take that Dark Elf or maybe comes back after doing more deals. Because honestly, seeing a Dark Elf there is even more incentive to, hey, let me go get this Tella all of his spells. Oh! Water Hag may be a free boss, but when it goes fast and can one-shot all your characters, it is anything but free. Gundam deciding, no, I'm not going to try that again. Let's go turn in this pan, bop Yang over the head, see what the sylphs give me, and see what I can get from Sheila. Cassidy finding a Lunar Sparkle here. In Value Cave, finding Plague, definitely one of the easier Lunar Sparkle bosses that you can find, especially in this spot. Alright, I looked away because I was being informed that my co-commentator stepped away, and I did not see what the sylphs gave. Looking at the tracker, it appears it was the pass, so that is always a good find. Won't need to make the long dive through the lunar subterranean to get to Z once we are ready to wrap this seed up. Gundam's going to head up to Fabul, tell Sheila that Yang is in the underground, and tell the wife that we have bopped the husband over the head with her pan, and she will be so elated by that she'll reward her with a second item.
And we have a question from chat saying, is the pass a key item in this flag set? Unfortunately, no. The pass will not be counted as a key item if you count towards your 10 key item actual pool. It is a quote-unquote key item, as it will be rewarded as a reward from a boss spot, basically. But it will not actually be an item itself, so if you had 9 key items and a pass, it wouldn't actually count towards your 10 key items.
Sheila giving us the Adamant and the Luca key. One of those is nice to see. The Luca key you don't really want to see because you have still yet to see a D-Mist, and you know, if you get your Tele online, you'll have Warp for Dwarf. You won't need to go through Sealed Cave for the key item, but if there's a D-Mist at the end, that can get spicy. Yeah, no, much agreed. D-Mist can put a hamper on really any race, to be honest. The fact that D-Mist blocks an item can be really huge. Not quite so much in having 3 out of 4 objectives completed, but it can play a pretty big role depending on what D-Mist blocks. Yep. I'm going to find this Golbez here, say, not today. If he's doing a quick search for D-Mist spots, I presume he's going to hit up Mist Cave next. And at this point, you're back on the overworld. You haven't done ordeals yet. Why not go ahead and do it now? I fully expect him to head there after this. Yeah, much agreed. We see Cassidy taking on Plague. Cassidy having Reflect on that top edge constantly. That top edge not having a countdown timer above his head means that Plague will continuously cast count over and over because not every single character in the party has a count over the head. So this is very advantageous because it means Plague is just kind of stuck in this loop where, hey, I'm going to cast count, I'm going to cast count, I'm going to cast count. And as we see, it makes very short work of Plague in some spots. Yeah, Gundam continuing to fade ordeals here. Gonna go crack some eggs, get some experience, probably give that Water Hag a second try. Also, we have the tower key in inventory, so you know the 2 checks from the tower, lower tower of Babel are on the table. And we found value in Cave Bahamut in the form of our Baron key, which is needed for Objective 3, as well as unlocking 2 other key item checks. So there's always value in Cave Bahamut. So while that Baron key may not be required, it is very valuable to see, especially for Cassidy. Cassidy having 2 checks out of the way already, having the Moon and the Baron key, having already ground, going to have no problems with the Pale Dim spot. That's two objectives out of the way. All Cassidy needs to find is the Magma key or the Legend Sword and Adamant. We know where the Adamant's at.
if we find that legend sword, we are in no mode. This could be pretty huge. Finding Bacchus mines on the moon is very huge, especially for a very physical team with two edges and a yang. That's pretty big.
Yeah, that's huge. Gonna set you up for some nice Zerker strats on Z. Gundam is heading in here to the dwarf fight. Notably doesn't have warp on Tella. Might just be resigning to going through Sealed Cave with his Luca key because of the potential for demist. Interesting play, to say the least. I have to wonder if he's fading ordeals at this point or has forgotten it. Either way, let's hope this works out.
Now, if Palom has enough levels, Palom, I believe, learns warp at like 32 or so, somewhere around there. If Palom could get the levels here, we could be seeing a warp here. It just depends on when. We got 2-star Veils off on Gundam's side, so Wyvern's going down in the spot, no problem. The spot has like 9,000 HP, so 2-star Veils reflected off 2 edges. It's gonna set up this next fight very well. Even if it's Golbez, it would make this fight very easy, depending on, I mean, a variety of things. But it should make this next fight very easy.
Fortunately, we know it's not Golbez. We do see that it is Magus Sisters. I believe we found a mute knife somewhere, and another edge. You know, what's better than one edgy boy? 4 edgy boys, apparently.
All of the edges. So we got Cassidy. Oh, I was saying we got Cassidy heading down to knock out the Pale Dim spot. This is going to be another objective, pretty knocked out of the way as soon as Cassidy decides to head back down to Earth and knock out the Baron Key. But this is an objective knockout right here. We got CPU. Shouldn't be too much of an issue here.
Yeah, HP percentage based attacks. Take out the defender and then just whittle down the CPU. It's going to take a bit, but there's really no threat to be had here whatsoever. I feel like this seed, throwing all the edges and Cecils and Crystal Swords at us, is just grabbing our runners by the shoulder and just yelling the word Quint into their face.
Yeah, basically. There are a few strategies you can do on CPU if you end up getting CPU in a really rude spot. There's the blink strategy where you can blink the attacker and just have your party berserk and go ham on CPU if they get lucky enough to attack. You can also reflect a float cast off of your party and hope that it hits the attacker and do Quake if you happen to have either a Palom or Iridia that knows Quake.
That is not a strategy I'd ever thought of. That is definitely a thing. And it looks like Gundam did get enough levels to get warp on his Palom. He is rewarded with a Sand Ruby. At this point, your party's pretty set. I doubt we'll see who is taking a nap today.
The good news is, if we find Mist Dragon, we know that Luca key will not be required. That is if we find a Mist Dragon.
Yep.
If not, we could be looking at that Luca key possibly blocking a go mode.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm one to take gambles. Before I leave the underground in this round, I would probably, if I still have yet to find D-Mist, I would go take a peek, sink that time in, but just for the peace of mind. I'm not sure how Luca was wearing a white shirt around her neck as a pendant, but that's what we got for clearing out the dwarf castle.
The answer is very carefully.
Yeah, it was like folded up. It was like Cone Marie folded into a little roll.
Exactly. We see Gundam checking some chests on the way up. Maybe just trying to knock out some tier 4 checks. I'm not quite sure. Maybe steal some sirens. I'm not quite sure what the check here is.
Gundam bought some sirens in Cave Eblin, so I don't foresee him stealing anymore. But the chest here can hold some pretty good gear. You're looking for maybe fish out some of Edge's endgame ninja swords. You could be doing that. Maybe another power robe. I know I've been rewarded pretty handsomely with this strategy.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. Any trap chest can contain anything but an adamant armor. Adamant armors are not allowed in this and on this flag set. It's just kind of hard to justify it looking in trap chests, and we see Gundam going back to ordeals, getting their tele powered up. What do you think the play is here on Gundam's side?
Well, Gundam is going to get this Darkness Crystal, and I have to imagine Grind is going to be on his mind. He is at, let's see, 2, 4, 6, 7 key items, so he'll get his 8th here. He may want to just hunt down some additional ones, but that's always a possibility. Could be wanting to get this weak spell to take on that Dark Elf back in the Fey March. Gonna take this Cecil because he knows he has 2 crystal swords. Oh, please do not accidentally lose your power robe, my friend.
That's
oh, there we go. Giving me up attack.
Yeah, the power robe is definitely not something you want to throw away. Plus 15 to strength is no joke. That is an automatic plus 2, possibly plus 3 multiplier damage on your end. It's just a power robe is something you never want to get rid of, especially if you have the physical attacker.
Yep. Looks like he just backrode one of his edges. But yeah, having that power robe to go along with the Sword Cecil, it's going to be pumping out major damage. Casty is still grinding away here at the CPU fight. Curious that he hasn't taken out the defender yet. He's just hitting the CPU itself for what damage he can do, and then every round is being counteracted by 2200 of healing.
Yeah, as Motas says in chat, they did end up getting Globe 199 twice. Unfortunately, that's huge, and they bring back the the defender and the attacker, and they have no source of blink. So this fight could possibly be going south really quick, as usually I find our berserkers are usually attacking the attacker.
Peter asking, will Gundam train the Cecil or ink with him? I imagine you train him. You have a crystal sword. You're definitely going to want that damage if you ditched one of your edges. But yeah, it looks like killed the orbs again on CPU, but luckily gets the killing blow before the Globe 199. So that is going to be objective number 2 lit up for Cassidy, and an Earth Crystal for his troubles. Going to unlock another check, as well as the ever-coveted Troya Castle Armory.
Yeah, definitely. And if I were on Gundam's end, I would leave Cecil in the middle. I would let him go hog wild with that crystal sword. I would probably go do D-Machine Grind just so I can get that 2 times experience for having him under average party level. Darkness Crystal is really huge here, especially with having a Tella and a Cecil with a crystal sword. It's just it's power overwhelming right there.
Yeah, absolutely. Part of me thinks D-Machine Grind right away. Part of me looks at my key items and goes, I've got 8. If I could just get 2 more, then, you know, if I can kill off this Cecil and keep him taking a nap long enough, I can get effectively 4 times the experience from that grind. There's a lot of, you know, opportunities to go through, and a lot of stuff that when you're racing, so much is going through your head at once, and it's possibility after possibility after possibility, and it can't be understated how impressive it is to see, you know, racers think quickly under pressure, and it's such a joy to watch. So if you are enjoying this race, please consider giving each of our runners a follow. They're both fantastic players, and you will not be disappointed.
Yeah, absolutely agreed. As a racer myself, just being able to do all the stuff that they're doing, knowing that, hey, I'm racing against this person who is basically as good as I am, and I have to try and beat them and focus on, hey, where should I go now? Where should I go now? Like, just the skill level that these runners are showing is just fantastic.
Yeah, Gundam, seeing that Darkness Crystal there, not what you want to see when you've been fading a location for this long. very possibly panicking, going, "Oh no, how far behind am I really?"
But in the long run, this could be very beneficial as well. We see the adamant on Gundam's side, and we know we have the darkness crystal, which could lead us to the Murasan. If we find the magma key somewhere on the overworld, and we find the legend sword, that could be, hey, let's go knock out this Murasan altar, and bam, we're in go mode. Like, this could be huge.
Yeah. One thing that Gundam will have to do, regardless, is either that Murasame altar or killing that Bahamut for the Baron key, even if he does find, say, the Legend Sword and Magma Key from this tower play. I imagine, you know, if you get that lucky, you just go after the Murasame altar and say, "Not today, Bahamut."
Yeah, much agreed. And Cassidy here, fading the underground. The underground hasn't really shown much besides the pass and the adamant. The pan really not paying off too much from the checks. So the moon may be holding the last item that the Cassidy needs. If Cassidy finds the magma key here, Cassidy is in go mode. Yeah, it just comes down to who finds what and where.
Yeah, Cassidy, having completely faded Fabul, never even found the hooks, doesn't even have underground access at this point, and is already at Z levels of power, and killing moon bosses like they're nothing. Yeah, plenty more key items here. Ribbon Room giving 2 key items. Only really looking for that magma key, because we know the adamant is underground. So.
The unfortunate thing about this spot is not having a Paladin Cecil. If you had a Paladin Cecil after the second kick, you are free to absolutely attack with Paladin Cecil and just end the fight. The way the script works in this fight, you can actually stop this fight before the second kick as long as it's timed properly. But this fight can be relatively short if you got a Paladin, and Gundam having that Paladin could catch up a lot of time here, depending on if they decide to go to the moon, and this happens to be an item.
Yeah, ending that fight with a Spider-Man, pointing at Spider-Man.jpg, the Yang, taking out the Yang, finding a Masa and an Avenger there in the Ribbon Room, while Gundam Pilot finds a Mylon Z here at the top of tower.
That Avenger could be huge if Gundam decides to take the moon here soon. An Avenger Crystal Sword Cecil is no joke. Even if he's your anchor, no joke at all. It's a very scary character to have for any boss.
Yeah, like even a level 1 Crystal Sword Avenger Cecil can be hitting for like 2k. It's absolutely nuts.
It's Cecil is very good, but at the same time, he is very detrimental depending on your equipment.
Yeah. What would be... Looks like he is keeping the Cecil on the ground, presumably either to use as an anchor or to get the slingshot once he gets to 10 key items. Upon going to the moon, he will be rewarded with that second Cecil, which he could immediately take to be his anchor and allow his Crystal Sword Cecil to just completely go ham. Only a protecting from Mylon today, though.
I mean, there's absolutely nothing wrong with a pro ring. I will take a pro ring any day.
Yeah, just not what you're looking for if you feel you're already behind. So, gonna take out this super cannon and see what the second item holds. You gotta hope that both the Legend Sword and the Magma Key are underground here. Obviously, he doesn't have the knowledge that Cassidy's never made it underground, but then that would force Cassidy to get that hook and traverse that hook route, which is going to be time-consuming, especially with that gauntlet.
You know, just add a commentator cursing. I'm going to say there's a Legend Sword here. A Legend Sword would put all of us in no mode, but it would be pretty big, knowing that we have possible go mode on each side, as long as somebody plays a smart plays.
Yeah, my commentary curse would be we have Magma behind the Water Hag and Legend Sword behind that Dark Elf.
The good news is we've already taken out the water hag.
I thought we wiped the water hag.
Did we? I may have missed that one. I did have to step away for just a second.
Yeah, it was very punchy.
Okay.
And Gundam got 2 hits in before his party went down.
Well, dang. I must have stepped away during that one.
Dark Imps here at the Gundampilotspaz, they're going to be very punchy, but you have a Tella that can... Well, never mind. I was going to say use Stone, but he's taking a nap. But you got an Hourglass, so you're fine.
Yeah, the Hourglass definitely evens out this fight. Once they're stopped, they're absolutely stopped. Yang's got plenty of HP to bring people back up if needed. Tella knowing Stone, definitely gonna make this fight a breeze.
Gundam going through this cutscene, watching the bridge collapse behind him, gonna land on the Enterprise and be rewarded with a key item of some sort. Hey, you called it! Nice commentator's curse!
Wow.
And immediately go unlock the Kakol shop, get his objective number 1, and grab an X-Cal that he's presumably just going to sell. Or, you know, you could hang on to it to yeet it in Threemus' face, but if you find something good in this Kakol shop, you want that extra money.
Exactly. I was going to say, a great thing about having both the Legend and Adamant this early is you open a shop that can have a ton of items that are super beneficial to you if you're about to head to the moon.
We got crystal rings and ribbons are the 2 big ticket items there. Ribbons give you a ton of magic defense as well as immunity to all, I think it's all status effects, but it's definitely at least instant death effects. Not gonna scoff at that. And then the crystal ring previously mentioned, giving a boatload of defense as well as 5 to agility, which is unique for a accessory item.
Yeah, Crystal Ring is always fantastic to see. It reduces damage from dragons. So say you run into D-Lunars and they can be very physical bosses. They are dragon based. That's going to reduce the damage by half there. That Crystal Ring is always good to see.
Yeah, so with Gundam's current setup, I imagine he's gonna go back for round 2 versus Water Hag. Having more HP and a better agility setup to get through it and potentially take down that Dark Elf while he's at it. On top of the second form of Dark Elf being not a boss and therefore vulnerable to stuff like stop and weak, it's also quad weak to holy damage. So your Crystal Sword is almost assuredly going to be doing quad 9s if you have any levels on your Cecil, and even then, still probably like 4K.
Yeah, definitely. So Gundam here is quite possibly on the tail end of almost go mode here. If Gundam goes to the moon after this, we may be seeing a possible go mode on this end. Cassidy working on the Baron in here, possibly Baron Castle. We may see a Magma Key here. It could be huge. Having the Baron Key this early, well, not this early, but having the Baron Key here while doing Baron itself is very beneficial in having multiple item checks.
Yeah, one of the things that I want to point out that it's happened in both of the races that I've commentated, and it's probably my favorite thing about this flag set is how completely different your runners can route their seeds and end up with similar finish times. These two runners have basically been diverged from the get-go. Cassidy having not even touched the underground, Gundam having not even touched the moon, and I honestly at this point could not say who's in the lead, and that is always a treat.
Yeah, it's really hard to tell if anybody's in the lead here. Unfortunately, Gundam getting smacked over and over again by that Water Hag. Water Hag is going to be really fast here. Water Hag punches really hard. It's going to be tough to try and get them slowed down. If anything, I would say use the in and go from there. This is just a really tough spot for Water Hag unless you've got the speed for it.
Yeah, you also have that Tella. You can throw out a couple of blinks. So if you can get at least one blink off, you potentially can survive long enough to get your 3 hits, because Water Hag will instantly end the fight after being hit 3 times, regardless of what you take it takes damage from, be it physical or spells. So that could be a strategy that we see here. Yeah, or if he back row just tosses his edges in the back row, they can probably survive a hit each and take it down.
We see Pale Dim. Really excited to see Pale Dim at this spot. Quick and easy. Just going to be knocked out of the way. Looks like Water Hag is being out. 2 hits away from being done. Well, 1 hit now. We should be seeing an ARG here soon.
Yeah, ARG, probably my second favorite in-battle text locks after the ouch from Karate when you get the quick kill with Paladin Cecil.
Much agreed. Much agreed there.
And on the throne, we have... Oh, Baigen has usurped the throne of Baron.
Oh, how dare he. I'm excited to see this key item from Water Hag. If it's a Magma Key, that's huge. Ooh, Rat Tail. We've got a hook. That could be really big right there. If that's Magma Key, that's head to the moon and absolutely run out of there.
That's also Gundam's 10th key item. So from now on, any experience points that Gundam gets will be doubled. And with keeping that Cecil on the ground, currently at level 1, you then get the slingshot as long as he remains 5 levels under your median character. Could decide to do a grind after checking this Water Hag. Not Water Hag, Dark Elf.
Yeah, definitely. Dark Elf shouldn't be too bad here. The first phase of Dark Elf isn't physical at all. We'll see triple elemental spell, and then we'll see weak, and then we'll see piggy. Once we hit the second phase, and then we get that changeover, we can just use an hourglass, or we can cast stop with Tella, and then the boss becomes pretty free. This is a really low magic spell, magic attack spot, so we should see this fight go pretty quick, to be honest. And the fact that Dark Elf will be weak to that Crystal Sword swing is pretty big.
Yeah, I imagine gonna have Crystal knock himself out again, and then throw out a week with the Tella. We found a spoon in the pot in Baron, so there's still 1 key item spot left here in the form of the Odin, the vanilla Odin spot, to see what we can get in the Baron basement.
Yeah, and if this is the Magma Key for Cassidy and the Odin spot, that's pretty good play. It's just completely avoiding the underground and going right to the moon.
Yeah, at this point, it is. This feels like a race to the Magma Key. Gundam already has the Darkness Crystal. Will be able to take down the Murasame altar after a grind. Cassidy having 2 objectives already lit. We know that both halves of the Forge objective are locked behind underground access, and is desperately just looking for that Magma Key.
And if you didn't notice, that is our 3rd Stardust Rod.
Stardust Rods, Crystal Swords, Edges. This seed has everything.
Yeah, pretty much. The seed's pretty stacked equipment-wise. Even offensive-wise, 3 edges, well, 4 edges, I think. That's pretty huge, just in general.
Another Crystal Sword from Dark Elf.
Wow.
Yeah, Dark Elf taking a week, bringing his HP down to single digits, and according to chat, having his HP run out from a virus spell. And we have the Derek Mist on the throne in the Baron basement, going to give us a key item as well as a bonus round.
So this is a very, very high physical spot. D-Mist here is pretty scary if you don't have the defensive equipment. Fortunately, our runners have found quite a few Glass Helms, and this Yang throwing out 4,000 damage per swing is just wow. Yeah, this is why Yang is really recommended by quite a lot of runners if you can level Yang up.
Yeah, I love taking a Yang if I know I have like an early grind fight like the Darkness Crystal. and a Tella. It really makes things a lot easier. And the Rat Tail only leading to the package. So at this point, we know that the Magma Key is locked behind. It's either on the moon itself. I believe we haven't seen the Wyvern spot, or is locked behind an item obtained from the moon in the form of, say, the Baron Key or the Earth Crystal.
Or it could be behind Demist guarding the Twin Harp, or a variety of the ones that you just said.
Yeah, of course. And then obviously this Demist itself is locked behind the moon. The Baron Key coming from that Bahamut spot. So to the moon we go, says Gundam.
Yeah. The moon is the right play right now for Gundam. Gundam's going to get another spot knocked out here. Going to be right on Cassidy's tail with this the objective knockouts. But Cassidy getting through Demist here. I think the biggest thing that Cassidy is going to be missing here is an anchor. Tella is really high leveled. He's got a ton of HP.
Cassidy does still have that Cecil sitting there on Mount Hobbs that he could grab before he goes to a Z fight.
That's a very good point. Having a level 1 Cecil, unfortunately, is not the best. I would probably take a couple fights just to get Cecil past that 14 agility point. It's really tough to find an anchor right now with only Tella or Cecil available. And we're about to find out this Mist Dragon item. If it's this Magma Key, we're gonna be hurting here. All right, so Cassidy is in go mode.
Yep, Cassidy's in go mode. At this point, it is Cassidy's race to lose. Having already done the grind, is gonna go, just toss this Magma Key casually down the well. Never visit the underground. And then go back to the moon and dive down to Z.
Yeah, now Cassidy does have to go back to the moon, whereas Gundam will not have to. That's, let's say, maybe a minute and a half time lost, but... And as Penguin points out, they just proved 14 agility as being a thing while I was retired. Lower agility is apparently fine, so just disregard everything I said about agility.
There's a lot to remember, there's a lot to know, and there's always new developments happening in the free enterprise community. Yeah, there's a lot that I don't know, and agility to me is still completely witchcraft. I just go, I want the number to be low, but if it's around 28, I want it to be a little bit higher.
And we see ninja swords in the Tamra shop. That is really huge. Ninja swords being Edge's second best weapon. That's super beneficial over on Gundam's end. Cassidy getting the crystal. Cassidy pretty much ready to go, being already ground. And yeah, I'm sure we'll see Cassidy run back to the moon and maybe take a fight or two for some more experience. I'm not quite sure Cassidy's level of confidence with lower level fights. But Yang being pretty high leveled is pretty solid.
Yeah, we've got some Bacchus. We got some pretty beefy physical fighters. One thing that we are lacking is a reliable source of healing. I don't believe Cassidy has gone and bought a stack of Cure 3s like Gundam did. So there's still some prep work for this Z fight, but we should be seeing it before long. And Gundam gonna crack some eggs here.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think Cure 3s are available in Mysidia. I may be wrong on that one. It's been quite a while since we've seen those.
I think that's right. I think they were one of the first shops that we checked in Mysidia. I'm pretty sure Cassidy actually dipped back into Mysidia and probably bought a handful of them. So could be grabbing a few more before he heads back up.
I think Cure 3s are the real go-to curative item right now. since we don't really have a white mage, I mean, Tella being level 39, even if you throw on like a white robe and a life staff, that Cure 4 is still only going to do about 12 to 1300. It's not very good.
At that point, you're better off just single targeting your Cure 4s onto the people that you just stay alive and hoping for the best.
Yeah, we see 32 Cure 3s on Cassidy's side. That's a decent chunk, but having one focused chemist is going to be kind of difficult with this team unless you can get somebody outside of Yang, who's probably going to be your biggest damage dealer.
Yeah, Yang also unfortunately having the highest HP pool, which is usually the prime chemist territory. Could easily just, Zerk up one edge, Zerk up Yang, and leave your second edge there to Cure 3, and depending on how you feel about your HP totals, throw out that crystal to nerf some big bangs.
Yeah, definitely. And we see Gundam doing some grinding, possibly getting ready for the moon. Cassidy not having the pass. Not quite sure what's going on here. Maybe looking for... I'm not quite sure. Maybe looking for something in the item shop. But we may see a save and reset and a trip to the moon here.
Maybe getting a bit excited here, forgetting that he doesn't have the pass.
We see the realization there. We'll probably see Cassidy going to the moon here, taking that descent. We hear some awesome moon music. I'm a big fan of the moon music, the overworld moon music, whereas the descent, seeing as how the descent is basically the opening credits.
Yeah, it's great music on the moon. I like to think that the man standing behind the pass door gives Cassidy a little bit of sass. They're like, "Do you have a pass?"
He's basically saying, "None shall pass."
Yeah, basically. Without a pass, none shall pass. Cassidy using a cabin rather than the big whale. Can't really fault that. It's equal time loss.
Yeah.
Gonna go in to see this Cecil. You have 3 crystal swords in your inventory. Do you go ahead and maybe ditch your Palom and grab another Cecil? What do you do here?
Well, Cassidy's already been on the moon.
Sorry, I meant Gundam. Gundam is what I meant.
If I'm Gundam and I see another Cecil, you absolutely betcha I'm taking one of the Cecils and using that as an anchor, preferably the one that's at level 1. Especially having a crystal sword. But we see a Cecil ditch here, meaning Gundam is going to be stuck with that one Cecil being leveled up as their agility anchor. That can be kind of rough. I would use the one that I would just pick up from the moon as an anchor, even as a level 1.
That's saying that he sold all of the extra crystal swords, so that makes sense for the Cecil ditch there.
Yeah, I mean, even having, as long as Gundam still has one crystal sword, we see a reset here. Possibly realizing, hey, I've got only one Cecil, that's my anchor. I'm probably going to take this other Cecil, use them as my anchor, and swap everything over to that second Cecil, who's already leveled with a crystal sword. We're probably going to see that happen right now. Just having a lower leveled Cecil is very advantageous to basically any Zerker strat against Threemus, or really any other boss.
Yeah, and what's a fun little thing here is that if Gundam does the Ribbon Room before doing Value Cave, because Value Cave will give us the Bearing Key, which actually locks 2 of the objectives, he'll get an Avenger. So for the Z fight, he could Avenger his Crystal Sword Cecil, and then manually equip that Crystal Sword onto the second Cecil, and get a 2-for-1 from only having the one Crystal Sword in his inventory.
Yeah, definitely. It's just, as we see, Gundam takes that Cecil, uses the level 1 Cecil as the anchor. That's a very smart play, especially having that second Cecil who has a crystal sword. It's just no brain. It's a no-brainer play to me. especially knowing I have a crystal sword and I have a second Cecil available. Absolutely, I'm going to take that second Cecil and use them as the anchor versus the one that I already have leveled.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a complete no-brainer here.
Cassidy getting just a few more levels on their characters. Just want that HP count to go up. A higher rolled Big Bang can really do some serious damage against these edges here. Yang doesn't have to really worry much about the HP, whereas these edges, if they take a Big Bang to the face, it's gonna be rough. Unfortunately, Cassidy not having taken that hook route, not knowing where the sirens are, they've got to sit and grind out these fights.
Yeah, Gundam gonna be getting some valuable experience from the moon, but it will be a bit of a grind, especially the CPU fight. I don't know if he had a bow and arrow to back row his Cecil to hit the CPU for max damage, but he'll still be doing a decent amount.
Yeah, I did see an Artemis bow.
Oh, okay. Excellent. Cassidy seems content with the levels he has now, the HP totals he has, and we're diving down to ZoeVermilion, which means one of the most important parts of a seed is coming up here.
And the age-old question: thine posterior. Whose butt are we gonna kick tonight? Let's see.
But, of the countless sprites that are available, what's the one that is either your favorite or you're hoping to see here?
My personal favorite is Threemus from Parasite Eve. Parasite Eve is my favorite game of all time. It is a fantastic game, and just seeing Threemus just brings joy to my heart.
I'm rather fond of Mothermas, Mother, the final boss from La Milana, and then Paintmas is a good one. It's a Mario Paint Z sprite.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like that one. There's a fantastic amount. Like, every sprite I see is always fantastic, whether they were made by Scala or whether they were made by Ford. Both just have done fantastic work on this random.
Chat pointing out Bigmas. I actually had Bigmas in a practice a couple days ago, and it was so hard to focus.
Bigmas is always good for a good laugh. I love seeing Bigmas. Nobody loves PPMA more than me, but we'll leave that for a later chat.
All right, we're gonna get our grand reveal here.
All right. Okay.
I can't say I recognize this one.
I have seen it before. I don't recall the game, but I have definitely seen this sprite before.
Oh, it's Nightmare Wizard from Kirby.
That would make sense. I have not played a lot of Kirby games.
I have played a handful, but rarely to completion, aside from Crystal Shards. So the fact that Kirby always fights some sort of Eldritch God is known to me, but I could not point out their sprites.
We got a float on the Gundam side, but we see a reset, unfortunately. CPU is no joke. CPU can be really rough in a lot of spots, especially if you don't have a character. And we see Gundam having to redo this cutscene. Going to be another small loss of time. Unfortunately, hopefully Gundam can get the CPU fight knocked out of the way.
Yeah, might see Gundam get back outside to take a quick save to avoid having to see this cutscene again if he's worried about another CPU wipe.
Yeah,
I know that at this point that's what I'd be doing, because oh no, I just wiped. I feel like I'm already behind. Let me go save, but opting not to do that. Potentially the right play. I'm always far too cautious when I play.
Yeah, something I do whenever I do this cutscene, since it's just so long, like it feels like it's forever when you're playing, and you're just like, I don't want to have to do this again. I'm just gonna go save, and then I'll come back in and do it later. It can be beneficial, especially if you have a really rude boss in a really rude position, and you don't want to make that descent over and over and do the cutscene over and over.
Yeah, looks like he's foregoing CPU spot for now, even though it is an objective. going to head down to lower, see if maybe he can get some more experience to make that fight easier. Most likely going to be doing the Ribbon Room. Ribbon Room is 200,000 experience with 10 key items. Quite a hefty chunk to get you some more levels.
And we see the higher leveled Tella definitely being detrimental to the Zeromus fight. Tella being level 39 puts his agility relatively high. It can make the fight pretty rude. I like to have Tella around, like, I want to say 400-ish, 500-ish HP, whereas right now he's chilling at 835. That can be really detrimental to the Zeromus fight. That can give Gundam a lot of time to catch up here. So this race is definitely not over.
Yeah, I have to wonder if Cassidy has forgotten about the Cecil on Hobbs. It was so long ago, and you've done so much, and you're in the middle of a tournament race. I wouldn't be surprised, but that it would be something that would make the Z fight considerably easier, just by going and clearing what appeared to be either Baron guards or Officer Soldier there at the top of Mount Hobbs.
Yeah, I mean, in a race like this, you're always like, okay, well, where's my opponent? I don't know where my opponent is. I have to make sure that I don't mess up. And then you start, one thing starts happening after the other, and you're just like, oh my goodness, I'm losing it. And you're just like, okay, well, I can grind really quick. I can get this done. I can get this taken care of. And then just one thing leads to another.
Yeah, because at this point, even if Cassidy knows about that Cecil and has remembered, you would have to leave Luna's Subterranean, take the cutscene back to the Earth, go to Hobbs, watch that mini cutscene, do the fight, come back to the moon through a cutscene, and then re-dive all the way down to Luna's Subterranean. And that would be, at least 5-6 minutes, whereas you think, I just need to grind a bit, which will take me less time than that, and I can go hit Z again.
And from earlier, as I was saying, having a Paladin Cecil in this fight, that Yang fight, was absolutely advantageous to Gundam. Cassidy spent a few minutes in that fight, whereas Gundam just, bam, knocked it out of the way due to the Paladin Cecil. Got the Avenger, got the Mura, went and saved. Now, Gundam can do that Avenger crystal swap and just have an absolutely overpowered Cecil. Not curing before this Antlion fight can be really rude. The counters are not the best. They can be quite rude in the spot. I mean, counters are pretty rude in general, but the spot is pretty rough. The physical attack on the spots are really bad. This is one spot that I would have to use a cabin and take out that center Cecil and probably do an Avenger swap.
Yeah, at this spot here, I think Gundam still has a Moon Veil from earlier in the seed. You could potentially pop that Moon Veil in your Cecil, cover your Palom, and then just have Palom wake it down over however many turns.
Yeah, definitely. That's another option you could definitely do. You could do Ninja Flame with Edge, and you can do, Quake or Nuke, or if you happen to have Nuke. But not having a White Mage is proving to be really rough in this situation.
I have to wonder if there's any in the seed aside from the lone Tella, which is like half a White Mage. We still have the two characters at the top of Zod. There's always the character that's hanging out on the Giant that rarely will be seen in this flag set. So there could have been White Mages available, but way too out of your way to bother going and hunting for them. Yeah,
I bet you Rosa is either behind Giant or that Earth Crystal that nobody's gonna ever go check.
Vanilla Murasame Altar is the Pale Dim spot. It's the spot that's at the top, that's off the beaten path. They have to go through a couple teleporters to get to.
We see a multi-target stone over on Gundam's side, making quick work of that fight, whereas Cassidy spent, again, a little bit more time on that fight. Gundam making up a lot of time here. Cassidy heading back down, taking another stab at Zeromus. We'll see how this one plays out.
Yeah, at this point, it's still Cassidy's race to lose. A few more Z wipes could, give Gundam that opportunity to catch up. That Tella still gaining level, still gaining agility, opting to instead just put an edge in the middle to kind of even up the turns a bit. Not a super optimal strategy, but better than certain lower agility values, whereas he's just going to get so many more turns than you are.
Yeah, the one thing that could be super beneficial to both of these runners that we haven't seen yet is a cursed ring. I didn't see anybody really checking armor shops. The good thing about these flags is a cursed ring can be in an armor shop. So if one of these runners had checked an armor shop and had seen a cursed ring, this could be super advantageous, especially to the Threemus fight. Edge in the middle here on Cassidy's side is going to be pretty rough. Threemus is going to be really fast. Hopefully they can keep up with the relative agility of Threemus here.
Yeah, it's gonna be dicey, just as the last one was. Grinded out a few more levels first. Hopefully it goes better than the last attempt did, and we can get our first finisher and wrap up one half of this race. This Antlion is going better this time after having popped a cabin, and Crystal Avenger Cecil there swinging in for 6,700. This Antlion, there we go, is not long for the world.
Yeah, a Crystal Avenger Cecil, especially if you have another Cecil as an anchor, is probably the most overpowered character you can have in this game. It's just ridiculous the amount of damage that a Crystal Sword Cecil does.
Hands down, that was I feel like that was one of the primary motivations behind the tournament organizers giving us the Vanilla Jody flag, was to bring Cecil inline a bit more. So effectively, if you want to have a super overpowered Cecil with the Crystal Sword, you gotta have a second Cecil somewhere in your seed. Otherwise, you're going to be messing up your optimal agility strategy.
All right, so we're gonna see a Wyvern check here. We know that it's not going to be an important item. We know where the Baron Key's at. We know where the Magma Key's at. We know where the Psalm Altar's at. We know where the Legend and Adamant are at. So this is basically just going to be an experience value for Gundam here.
Good. We are Twin Harp, which would be, you know, if Gundam does indeed end up losing this race, he could be a hero to the people and go to music before he finishes his seed.
Yeah, much agreed. On Cassidy's side, we see Threemus moving quite fast, and not having a white mage is making this fight really tough. Not getting that nerf off quite fast enough. This is going to be probably a reset on Cassidy's side, having both the top edge and the bottom Yang Zerked here. Oh, the Yang isn't Zerked. That's actually really good. This could be beneficial in a lot of ways, and that black hole is super beneficial in giving that top edge an actual, you know, a turn to, you know, get somebody back up. But this could be pretty rough. This fight's going to be really rough without a white mage.
Yeah, finding at the Wyvern spot a Pain Man, pretty speedy here. Looks like Gundam hesitated a bit. Going to drop that battle speed a little bit lower so we can get off a Cure 3 to survive it. But yeah, I had a thought and it's gone.
The big thing about Dark Knight Cecil with these flags is just survivability. You don't want to have that Avenger on. You want to have somebody with a ton of HP. For example, a Yang with almost 5,000 on Cassidy's end. So if Cassidy had done Dark Knight Cecil at this point, it would just be, okay, let's just toss a Cure 3 on Yang and survive. 3 turns Dark Knight Cecil's done, and yeah, that's free experience, basically.
Cassidy taking that reset. I'm going to go back down again. Feels like he can do it with his current levels. Just going to throw himself at it again and hope for the best. Which at this point we're an hour and 36 minutes in this seed. Most of my practice seeds have been wrapping up around this point. I definitely feel behind after these wipes, so just try and keep at it until you can get it. You haven't seen the dot done yet. You're still in this race. Yeah,
definitely. At this point, I'm just as a runner, if my opponent hasn't finished at 136, and I know I've been fighting Threemus a couple times now, I'm just like, well, dang, how am I going to do this? I'm in a lot of trouble. Am I going to be able to? And then it's just kind of bearing in the back of my mind. But I believe both of these runners will be capable of finishing this as long as they just focus on what the task at hand versus like their opponent, where their opponent's at.
Gundam pulling through on that Dark Knight Cecil fight, reminding us all that justice is not the only right in this world. Someday you will see, giving us a dragon whip and a handful of experience. I imagine Gundam will be going back up, maybe giving CPU another shot, and then hopefully going into that cave Bahamut to get that Baron key.
So just as a quick reminder, we see Gundam reviving Tella there for an exit. We have a high-level Cecil. Cecil learns exit, I want to say at about 25, 26-ish. If you have a Paladin Cecil that's relatively high-level, you can always cast exit with them. It's just it's a minor time save. It's one of those where like that you don't even really think about. Like Cecil, okay, he's just used for physical attacking. But he is a very good exit user if you do happen to level up the Cecil.
Yeah, Cecil's white magic spells rarely come in use. Having exit is super great. I know I have occasionally had to bust out his heal on an Evil Wall or Valvalis where someone got petrified that I didn't necessarily want to be petrified. And then there's always the really weak Cure 2 to stave someone off from death when you absolutely need it. Gundam gonna get a rematch with the Orbs here. Should hopefully go a bit better. We saw him try and get the float strategy off last time. We'll see if he goes for that again, or maybe goes for the blink strategy that Couch mentioned earlier, since he has that crystal sword.
Looks like Edge took out that defender right away. Hopefully Cecil doesn't attack this attacker, otherwise we'll probably be seeing a reset here. We're going to see 2 globes, unless we see a reset. Unfortunately, we get a globe on the bottom Cecil, which is the one that's already leveled. This CPU is very fast here.
It's the 2 characters you didn't want it to hit.
It's, CPU can be really rude. It's one of those where you just want to try and keep up with the damage output percentage-wise, and hopefully you don't take out that attacker. Meanwhile, Cassidy seems to be doing some pretty solid work over on that Zeromus fight, getting some nerfs off, making sure everybody's up and where they need to be. It's good to see. This is gonna be a long fight though. You got to make sure you nerf all these big bangs. Especially with only your Yang being at a survivable amount of HP.
Yeah, nerf each one. Keep those Cure 3s out. Unfortunately, gets the nerf into the Big Bang here, so hopefully it's not going to be a high roll to take out that top edge. But
yeah, if you get a counter nuke, like right before a Big Bang, it's always going to be at that nuke spell power versus a Big Bang spell power. So you're always going to get that nerf, especially if it's right before. That was a perfectly timed nerf right there. Having 2 chemists is fantastic. It's good to see. Yang being berserked is really good. Yang being probably your biggest damage healer here.
While we watch this Z fight and Gundam CPU fight on the other side, I did want to give a shout out to the people behind the scenes. We have Scarlet Kitty restreaming in an emergency scenario to make sure that this race was brought to all of you. We have Ella Motas lighting up the buttons and making our job up here in the booth completely easier, and my lovely co-commentator Couch along with Cheddar.
Big shout outs to you as well, Zoe. would not be without you. And thank you, Free Enterprise, for that raid. Please do not spoil the results of the previous race you're all watching. Enjoy what's going on right now. We have a very, very close race, I feel. Gundam is a fair bit behind, but Cassidy having a very unfortunate anchor situation here is making the fight really rude. Getting these nerfs off, though, is pretty... shout-outs to Cassidy for getting these nerfs.
Yeah, Cassidy doing marvelously on this attempt. Has taken a couple of wipes to Z as it is. We'll see if he can pull it off this time. The wipes have given Gundam an opportunity to catch up. What we know is that the Baron key is in Value Cave, which gets objective number 3, and then on the Odin throne is Demist, which is where the Magma key was. So Gundam has to do Cave Bahamut and Baron Castle before he can even sniff his Z fight. But if Cassidy runs into some more trouble, could still take this one.
Gundam knocking out that CPU finally, getting another objective knocked out of the way. We know where both the Baron key and the Magma key are, while Gundam does not. But we might see an Earth Crystal check here. Seeing an Earth Crystal without a White Mage here kind of gives me an incentive to go look. Being a commentator, knowing what's going on the other side of the stream is kind of a little bit unfair wise, but at this point, if I haven't seen my my race, my opponent not done yet, I am absolutely going to go look for a White Mage.
Yeah, and chat correcting me that he only needs just the Baron Gate, he won't need to go through that entire chain. Flying the Big Whale over to Cave Bahamut will be taking down the boss here, getting his Baron key, which will put him into go mode, and mere minutes away from a Z fight if he feels confident on his levels, though he may want to do a bit more of a grind prior to that. But with Crystal Sword Cecil and an Avenger, I think he's in a position where he can take his own.
And we see Rocks on Cassidy's side with a flash. That's a GG.
GG's.
That was a fantastic Zeromus fight for having a really high agility Tella there. Yeah, that's a tough one right there.
Yeah, definitely that Z fight is no joke. No Z fight is really super easy unless you end up with, you know, an overpowered wind party or something like that. So big GGs to Cassidy, persevering through a couple wipes and realizing that no, I have the party, I have the strategy, I just need to execute, and then executing and getting this win in the group stage of Highway to the Threemus Zone.
Yeah. A Zeromus fight without a White Mage is always impressive to watch. Having even just one person as a chemist, it's a tough Zeromus fight. Fantastic job to Cassidy. Fantastic job to Gundam so far. Gundam's done great from what I've seen. Just unfortunate routing. Cassidy getting a little bit lucky going to the moon early, basically abandoning the underground, whereas Gundam basically full cleared the underground.
Yeah, Cassidy fading Fabul completely after getting the Darkness Crystal, which is where the hook was. That was our underground access. Honestly, the not having gone underground is the difference in this race. All right, we are getting word that Cassidy will not be joining us for an interview tonight. Definitely understandable after a race like that. But will be doing a treat for us and giving us the sultry sounds of DJ Spoony Bard. One of the things that 4.1 added in is after you've beaten a seed, if you watch through until the Twin Harp is revealed in the post-game spoiler, and then it fades to black to show the next key item, you can reset. Go straight to Troya Castle, go to Eddie's room, and go interact with the harp, and it will play the harp song from your seed.
So Gundam taking a wipe there on Plague. Probably going to go back, take another stab at it. We do know this will put Gundam in go mode, having just to knock out unlocking the sewer. Probably grind a little bit. But speaking of Twin Harp music, what is your favorite track, chat and Zoe?
My favorite track, it's a real toughie. The two that I'm most fond of, and I cannot pick between, so I'm going to cheat because I'm a commentator and you can't stop me, are the theme to the Dark World from Link to the Past and the athletic theme from Super Mario World. Both of those are fantastic harp covers, and I always just don't want to fight the boss when I get either of those.
Yeah, no, my favorite shout-outs to my last race has been Bloody Tears.
Yeah, I was gonna say I watched that race, and when Bloody Tears came on, I was like, oh, this is a good one. I love this song.
Yeah, Bloody Tears is I've never even played any of the Castlevania games, and Bloody Tears is just a fantastic song, just in general. But the harp music has just been executed so well in this randomizer, and just huge shout outs to everybody that works on this rando.
Yeah, we have a great team, not only behind the scenes here, organizing the tournament, organizing all the restreams, but a great development team as well, with Boardface, Scala, and the rest of the team, bringing us this game so we can play it, we can race it, we can analyze it, and all come together in just a great community that I'm happy to have landed in.
Yeah, no, definitely much agreed. I've been around for a long time in Free Enterprise. I may not be around so much nowadays, but it's always good to be a part of the Free Enterprise crew, and everybody that does such a fantastic job on randomizer itself and commentary and restreams. Y'all do fantastic.
And then we'd be remiss not to mention the viewers. A lot of people turn out to these races, whether they be on the RPG Limit Break channel, the Free Enterprise channel, or any of the Randomania channels in that network. Having people here to watch the races makes for a great experience for everyone involved. And I know I'm just so happy that there are so many people out there that get excited for Free Enterprise, especially during tournament season.
Yeah, absolutely. The viewers are literally the backbone of every single Twitch community. Every single one of you, huge shout out. Cassidy going to check the Twin Harp right now. Gundam getting that Baron Key, gonna head back to Earth, unlock the sewer, and more than likely gonna go take on Threemus. When it comes down to it, this has been a really, really, really close race. Just Cassidy getting the good luck with going moon without going underground and finding the necessary key items. Gundam going underground, whereas and we see some awesome music over on Cassidy's side.
Yeah, I'm going to say one thing before I be quiet so chat can hear it. It's funny that it's Kefka's theme from Final Fantasy VI, considering Gundam has Final Fantasy VI themed character names.
Gundam getting the crystal, having the pass already, so we're just going to more than likely see a straight to Threemus fight. Probably check a few shops just to make sure we have all the necessary stuff. But yeah,
Fluffy Mittens in chat beating me to it because I was trying to be a good commentator and stay as quiet as I could. It is even more entertaining that we have Kefka's theme because Gundam's Edward is indeed named Kefka.
All right, as we see Gundam going immediately to Troya. So one of the quality of life things here is if you go to Troya in vanilla game and you buy the pass from the shopkeeper that is in the I want to say what that's, it's not the inn, it's
a tavern.
Like the tavern, yeah. You can buy a pass from the lady, but every shop is randomized in Free Enterprise. So the pass being in a key item spot actually opens up a path to Zeromus. Whereas Cassidy had to make the descent underground, Gundam can just turn in this pass, open the door, and head straight to Zeromus. It can be beneficial if you find the pass and your opponent does not. It saves you a couple minutes and can make a race really, really close.
Yeah, that dive through lunar subterranean is not a short walk, so
definitely not.
Having a pass is very good, especially if you're in a situation where you're going to be taking, potentially a couple wipes if you're going in, trying to pull off a sneaky kill with an underpowered party, only having to walk a few steps compared to walking down the lower portions of the LST. Is much better on the mental health of a runner. Speaking from experience,
especially if you accidentally leave encounters on.
I don't know who would do that. I've certainly never done that.
I mean,
never once grinded outside the ribbon room, saved, and then went to go down and still had encounters on. Nope, not me.
No, I've definitely done that more than once. But we'll see Gundam more than likely make very, very quick work of the Zeromus. An Avenger Crystal Sword Cecil with level 1 Cecil chilling in the center. You can see Zeromus is moving really, really slow here. It took a long time for him to even shake. We'll see a crystal usage, and then probably a Bacchus Wine on the top edge, and then a Avenger Crystal swap over on the bottom Cecil, and this fight is pretty much just going to be over after that.
Yeah, you're looking for 12,000 damage per round to skip the second Big Bang. We'll be close to that. I'm not sure if we'll quite break that, but if you maybe throw out a little bit of damage with that middle Cecil with the Crystal Sword afterwards, you can potentially get him a bit lower, a bit sooner.
Yeah, and as you can see, this Crystal Sword's Avenger Swap Cecil doing 7,200 a swing is that's a lot of damage, as the flex tape guy would say.
You got to say it with the accent, Couch. That's a lot of damage.
I know. I'm not good at accents, so I just stick with what I know.
Oh, neither am I, but it doesn't stop me from trying.
But yeah, right here is a perfect example of why you would take a Crystal Sword Cecil, especially if you have an Avenger. It's just, he's just absolutely overpowered in every possible way.
Yeah. Gonna get off the Silk Web, which got a nerf for the Big Bang, as well as slowing Z down even more. Hilariously, hi Cheddar. The counter nuke hitting the one character that had the Star Veil up, giving us an extra 1,600 damage towards Zeromus is helpful. Yeah, having a nuke Palom with the Crystal Sword Cecil, this fight is going to be over before you know it. I don't expect this fight to take really any much longer than a couple minutes. This fight should be over relatively quick. Yeah, no, this fight should be done, I'd imagine. This will probably be done before 157 on Gundam's clock. Maybe even before 156, to be honest. Now, a lot of the times, you're only going to run into one Cecil. If you have a Crystal Sword and you run into a Cecil, you're more than likely going to want to keep a Cecil, just because that, as you can see, that damage is just... I mean, you can't really pass up almost 8k or 8k a swing. That's a ton. Yeah, it is a complete game changer on the Z fight. Even if you have him high leveled and you got like 36 agility for an anchor, toss him in a party with a couple other Zerkers and toss a Silk Web on Z, and you're not going to have too much of an issue getting through your Z fight.
Yeah, and as Rybon points out in chat, this race was a lot closer than it actually looks. Gundam and Cassidy both went completely separate routes. Cassidy went moon, didn't even touch the underground, and as we can see, Gundam, like 2 minutes into the fight, is already in meteor phase, and it's going to be over probably after the swing. It just shows you the power of a Crystal Sword Cecil. But yeah, like, this race was so much closer than it actually looks. Gundam just unfortunately getting the bad luck of not finding anything underground, whereas Cassidy found basically everything on the moon.
Yeah,
GG's to both runners.
Yeah, GG's to both runners, GG's to Gundam. His Z is shaking and going down. But yeah, as you said, the big difference in this race was underground was 1 objective, the moon was 2, and that's where the difference lied. Technically, the moon was actually 3 objectives. That's where Cassidy got all of his.
Yeah.
I keep forgetting that the Murasame altar was actually an objective. I'm so caught up on the Baron key.
Yeah, no, definitely.
but this run, from the get-go, our runners were completely diverged. They high-fived once or twice, but they never once really followed the same sequence of events. Even on the moon, they both took different strategies on the moon itself. So this, 13 minutes apart, it's a lot closer than that, and that from completely divergent seeds just shows how fun this flag set is as a racer, as a viewer, as a commentator, and how hectic it can be as a tracker. So shout outs to Motos again for making sure that everything was tracked at the same time when our runners were always in different places.
Oh yeah, definitely. And it looks like we are joined by Gundam GG. Fantastic race. It was great pleasure to watch. You played pretty well.
Thank you so much.
Unfortunately, got unlucky with that underground play.
Yeah, no, that is apparent that my staying in Fey March and taking out those bosses was not the right choice.
I mean, it happens. I think you played fantastic.
Yeah.
You made a lot of good choices. It's just
thank you.
Luck, unfortunately, did not roll your way.
Yeah. I mean, I underestimated the water hag. Is really what I did. I mean, I think even the first time, if I brought my battle speed down, I probably would have been able to push through it. But I mean, that was just wasted turns there, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I knew the Dark Elf would be quick, but even so, like, that little bit amount of time would have really benefited me on the moon. Which, that CPU fight, I have to go back and see exactly what I did, because my Edge and my my Cecil, that their damage output seemed really low there. And I don't know if the extra levels just put me over the top. I did get the mass immune down at the Ogo spot. I mean, that made Edge, that would get a lot more damage, but even Cecil was only swinging against CPU at first for like 1100, and there was no way I was going to get through that.
Yeah, the CPU fight at that spot can be definitely a bit rough. I wasn't paying super close attention to new menuing, so it's possible that the back row didn't go through or something like that. Definitely worth a watch. One of probably the biggest thing in this seed, I feel that was the decision maker, was that Darkness Crystal Farm Ordeals. You completely faded Ordeals and opted to go through the hook route to get to Underground.
Yeah.
Was that an intentional choice there, even considering you had a Tello in your party?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't, with the 3 edges, I really wasn't too concerned about power. I mean, Tella was going to, it seemed like at that point was going to be my healer. I was really hoping to find a better healer, and a Rosa, I was hoping for, but I thought I had the play. I did Castle Eblin in a hope to maybe get one of the legendary ninja swords. A couple would have been nice. But I felt like I had the power, and the bosses were pretty easy. They were some of the ones I would prefer at the hook spot. So I was able to push through. Of course, I was really hoping it was a water hag there instead of the gauntlet. So it really, at that point, only ate up time. But I was going to get through it no matter what. So that's why I decided. I just figured that it would take more time. It would definitely take less time to just go through the hook route, sack Castle Eblin, see what I could get, and then come back later and do ordeals. And when I saw the Valvalis there, I thought my decision was pretty sound. Of course, until the Darkness Crystal ended up being what the prize was.
Yeah, no, like it wasn't a bad play at all. It was a good play. Cassidy started with ordeals, ended up getting that Darkness Crystal, and just went to grind and went to the moon, and just happened to get that luck roll there. Like I said, I think you played fantastically well.
Yeah, and I heard Cassidy. I assume if he did the grind, he did D Machine.
Yeah, he did a really early D Machine.
Yeah, I almost opted for D Machine instead of the eggs, but I'm just not. I hadn't found where any ethers were, and I wasn't confident in having Tella be both healer and my source of weak at that point. So I figured it was the safer choice was the eggs.
Yeah,
I really wanted to do the D Machine, but.
What do you think your best play of the run was there?
The best play of the run. That's a good question. I getting the early Stardust Rod. That was really helpful on some of those early bosses. That definitely helped. And then I was kind of questioning my choice to take the 3 edges, and I figured if I couldn't find any weapons, they would be easy to dump, but at least it would get me through the early bosses. But then, finding the long swords and being able to afford them by selling, I think I sold a crystal sword and crystal helm at that point, and I was able to buy 6 long swords.
Yeah.
When I found the long swords and bought them, that was like, okay, having 3 edges is not a crazy Hail Mary. It could actually work out for me in the long term.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like I said, I think you played fantastic. You just got unlucky.
Yeah, worst play definitely was not immediately taking the second Cecil. I kind of went back and forth in my head because I decided to level up my first Cecil after kind of keeping him down, and I imagined me just kind of pushing through Zeromus at that point, but then thought better of it as soon as I saw the second one, and my first instinct was to dump him, but I went back and took him, and I think that was what made the Z fight so quick.
I absolutely agree with that. That was a fantastic play, going back and getting the second. It was I think that was like the best play you probably made, was going back and getting that second Cecil instead of absolutely abandoning him. Do you have... Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think you asked the same question. Do you have any final thoughts or anything regarding this and kind of just the tournament in general?
Tournament's been great. I mean, thanks for everyone on Restream. Like, the Restream team is doing an amazing job. Like, I would not have been able... If you asked me a couple weeks ago, I wouldn't even imagine that we'd be putting on 4 races. On a Friday night, but this is incredible. Everyone's doing a great job. So thanks so much for the commentary. Thanks for the Restream and the Poidrak, I think, was on Restream. Oh, Scala's on Restream and LM Motos on tracking. Thank you so much. It's just the tournament's is fantastic to watch and partake in, and this seed, a lot of these seeds are jetty, and people have been finishing an hour 15, hour 20. I think this was a good example of one where it's kind of unforgiving.
Yeah,
these seeds can be tough, and it's going to give us a good spread as we continue on.
No, definitely agreed. All right, well, thank you to the runners, both Gundam and Cassidy. If you have not followed them, I recommend go giving them a follow. They both did fantastic today. Shout outs to our tracker, LM Motos, Zoe for co-commentating, Scala for taking over the Restream, just the Free Enterprise community in general. Chat, thank you for watching. This has been fantastic. We are actually going to go raid Randomania. There is... more nonsense going on over there. Thank you all so much.
Don't spoil.
Yes, yes. No spoiling, please. Any of the races that, if you came from the race prior, please, no spoiling. Shout outs to everybody. Yeah, go give Randomania some love. Thank you for hanging out.
Have a good night, everybody.
Have a good night.